Closing statement number one goes to Caleb. And so whenever you're ready, Caleb, you've got 5 minutes starting on your first word. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So thank you, Albert, and thank you, Donnie, for organizing this debate. As we've seen, I started with the premise in basically defining our terms. Well, what are we talking about when we say person? I went to the beginning of this live stream to both the three languages in question: the Hebrew, the Greek, and the Latin. So we had persona, we had prosopon for the Greek, and then we had finally panim, face, for the Hebrew, nefesh, and neshama. It's very, very simple. When we're talking about the term son, we're talking about God existing in that form, which is the form of flesh, the earthly form that is expressing humanity. And we know John 4:24, Jesus said to the Samaritan woman, God, and he's talking about the Father, is a spirit. Now, in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 45, we know that the first Adam was the made a living nefesh, right? A living soul. So he was made a living being person, okay? Because being ultimately in the Greek is hypostasis. It's the underlying reality of that entity. And it's so very, very clear that Hebrews 1:3 says that the Son is the image, not a separate mind, not a separate will, not a separate witness, as literally a separate life, because that's what we heard Albert describing the whole night, a separate life. And that's what hypostasis means, a being. You're being, you're living, okay? Soul is used in the book of Leviticus for God. Very, very important. And neshama as well is used for God as God's breath. So God is not static. He's not sitting up there on the throne. The Father is not sitting up there on the throne. He's communicating, moving, and manifesting himself in various ways throughout history. And I made it very clear, and I'm going to show this screen share again, where I've stated, if we're going to define our terms, let's define our terms precisely. The term persona means the face, and by extension, the person itself. That's the inner being of the person. In the Greek word is prosopon, okay, which means in one's face, one's sight. So it embodies the character of the person. So this is why I said Colossians 2:9 is important. Hebrews 1:3 is also important. And right here, down here, it encompasses not just a human face, but also the visible expressions of emotion, personal presence, okay? So you need a face as a human being. You need a face in order to communicate what you're experiencing, whether it's joy, love, sadness. And it applies also, this same principle is used for God. Why? Because we were created in God's image. Genesis 1:27 says we were created in God's own image. So God is the one who gave us a face, not three faces, not three heads. Okay, that's monstrous. And every time I hear Trinitarian apologists making the assumptions that, it could be the Father in this passage, it could be the Son, it's guesswork. There is no concise answer. But based on the definitions that we've just witnessed tonight in the form of slides that I've prepared, I've taken the time to prepare this, I've defined my terms. That's how I opened my statement. Albert didn't define his terms. And that's why we will always be, guessing. We'll never get a concise and precise understanding what spirit is and what body is. And that's very clear that God was manifest, revealed, made visible to men in the flesh. And he did it many times through all sorts of theophanies, but he did it in these last days through the Son. And that is very clear.